and welcome to another episode of Suddenly Single. This week I've got with me the legendary TV presenter Sally James, most famous for Tiswas and the Buckets of Water, but also many films, including To Sir in Love with Sidney Poitier. So Sally, let's start with what most people will remember you for, Tiswas.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I just want to get out of here.
So anyone who doesn't remember Tiswas, can you just quickly go over the show for them?
Well, if they've never heard of Tiswas, they'd probably be quite shocked to hear what we used to get up to. It was a Saturday morning show, allegedly aimed at children. Because that is who you imagine are watching on a Saturday morning. But 56% of our audience were over 18, and we had Tiswas appreciation societies in pubs.
You did?
We did. And a lot of our audience were students who used to watch with hangovers. So the whole premise of Tiswas, it was very, very fast moving. It was very slapstick. We threw lots of buckets of water. We did very silly things. We interviewed people. And I was the only girl amongst all the boy presenters. So it was enormous fun.
Now, one of those boy presenters was a man called Chris Tarrant.
Indeed.
In fact, I've had his wife on this, or his ex-wife, yes. I should say, on this show. But he was against you at first, wasn't he?
Tiswas started the same time as, or just after a programme that I started called Saturday Scene, which was the Saturday morning show done in London. Mm-hmm. And he started Tiswas up in the Midlands, which he presented with a guy called John Asher. And after about 4 years, a new producer came in and said, this is just too male. I mean, it was just all men. We need a female in here. And Chris thought that was a terrible idea. He said, we don't want some bird coming up here and ruining all our fun. So anyway, I ended up being this bird. So I went up and met them all, and we got on really well. And I did sort of fit in with them quite well, really. And I always felt that I became almost like the big sister school teacher role, really, because I was the one kind of keeping everything on track while they were racing around doing crazy things.
They were crazy. And you just did mention your show before, which was Saturday Scene, where you used to interview quite a lot of big pop bands, didn't you?
Yes.
Who would you say was the most interesting, or what's the best story you can tell us about Saturday Scene?
Oh my gosh, that is so long ago that
I can't remember.
I have to go shoot my phone. Well, the person that was most talked about was David Cassidy.
He asked you out, didn't he? I know a bit about you, Sally James.
You've been doing your research.
A little bit.
So he was a mega star at the time, you know, Partridge Family, all that stuff, massive hits, selling out Wembley, the whole 9 yards. And he was coming to London, and we approached him and said, would he come on the show? I think we were very lucky in getting such good people on Saturday Scene because we were so central. We were at the now defunct London Weekend Studios, which were right by the South Bank, and it was a Saturday morning and it all fitted in. Then it was working out how on earth safely we could get him in. So then it was actually arranged that we would pre-record it. But they smuggled him in, in the back of the boot of somebody's car. The security detail was absolutely insane. But we did the interview. He was absolutely lovely, and then smuggled him back out again. But he did ask me out, yes. And it was very weird because it was like, would you care to have dinner with me? And I said yes. And it was... You might think, oh, how romantic. I bet it was this wonderful restaurant, 2 people and the whole thing. Well, first of all, a car came for me with 3 security men in it, and then took me to his hotel, and we had this meal again with all these security people. And then I was
sitting at the table with you.
Well, they're kind of maybe over there.
Okay.
So it was weird. It was weird, but he was very nice.
So at the end of the evening, you just said thanks very much and went
home. He said, well, I'll get a car to take you home, and that's what happened.
And were you sad when you heard that he'd passed?
Oh, yes.
It was quite lonely.
So
really.
sad, because he was quite young, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In his 60s. I get a lot of people contacting me to ask me about my memories of him. Really sad. And he was ill for some time before. I think he had dementia. I mean, it's awful. I mean, so sad. It's so sad when people that you knew back in their heyday, when they were just so fabulous.
Yes.
And it's like you think, oh, God, that's a horrible reminder of what life's like, I suppose.
Did you have Marc Bolan on the show?
Oh, Marc Bolan became such a close friend. We saw Marc a lot, my husband and I. I mean, he was such a character, and he used to turn up to Saturday Scene whether he was in it or not, because he used to just love it, and he'd always sort of hang around. And when I was having my makeup on, because he at that time was wearing masses of makeup himself, and he'd go, "Oh, put a bit more eyes, put a bit more hair," and he was just fabulous, and we became good friends. Really, I was actually the last person to interview him before he died, honestly, I found out about that. We were. The taxi was taking me to Euston, actually, to get my train to go up to Birmingham for Tiswas. And it flashed up on the news, and it was like absolutely devastating.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You mentioned your husband, Mike.
I did.
Now, one of the reasons I brought you in today was because you, unlike me, tragically single so many times is just boring.
Oh.
How have you made it work for? Is it 47 years?
It is 47 years.
Yes.
He used to joke, the train robbers didn't get that long, but he hasn't been able to make that joke for 17 years. But
he likes a bit of banter, your Mike.
Yeah, I don't. People do say, "How come you've stayed married for so long?" I honestly don't know. No, we have. We just, I suppose, we're
Do you say it's your best friend?
Yeah, I don't know. I hear people say that about their husbands, that they're their best friend. It's different because you have a different. I mean, my best friends are my best friends that I've got are women. Really, we are obviously good. We get on very well. We're very, very different, very different. We like completely different things, but there's something that we just gel, and I think we're a good team, and we do share everything. And yes, we have managed, to weather a few storms. And I think we've always, the thing that we're so solid on is our kids, and now our grandkids.
Yes,
and they're our world, really. And
you told me, because back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, you were a real sex symbol.
Was I?
Yes, you were.
Was I?
And when that gets said, your boys go, "Oh no, Mum, don't talk about that."
Well,
do they find it difficult to?
Yeah, they do find it really embarrassing. I mean, my eldest son Adam, who has followed
Sky.
me, he's Sky presenter, followed me into Saturday morning TV. He does Saturday Social on a Saturday morning now. He's got his own podcast, Inside the Industry. He's very much doing things that I used to do, although TV is very different now. And he started out on Soccer AM, and Tim Lovejoy was the presenter. And when Adam went in to work on that show, he hadn't mentioned who his mother was, and Tim didn't know right at the beginning, and it came out, I don't know, a while later, and Tim suddenly said to him, "You didn't tell me your mum was Sally James." He went, "No," and he went, "But I used to have a poster of her on my wall." And I think Adam found that it's quite embarrassing, I think, for a young man to have, to think of his mum as a sex symbol.
Well, no children like to think either of their parents having any kind of romantic relationship.
Then we did this. Then things got really bad when we did the. They did a program called The Comedy Roast.
Yes,
and Chris Tarrant was on it.
Yes.
And, I mean, Jimmy Carr presented it. I mean, he was so funny. I mean, he is so funny. And it was all really laddish people, all the top comics of the time. And when they all got up, and all my kids were in the audience, and they all got up and they all said very inappropriate things about me. Very funny, but hugely inappropriate.
Do you want to share any?
I can't. Well, it was all things of, what they used to do while they watched me on TV kind of moments.
Oh, charming.
And it was jokey stuff. Very funny, but very near the knuckle. And I could see where my boys were sitting, and I sort of glanced down and they were almost going, ugh.
We don't want to think
about that, yeah.
But going back to your Tiswas days, you did become very good friends with Chris and Ingrid.
Yes.
Didn't you?
Mm.
Are you still, because you had children at the same time as her?
We did. I mean, my son Nick and their daughter Sammy were born on the same day, and they're mates now. Our youngest children, Toby and Josh, our mates, went to school together. Our families were very enmeshed together. We did a lot together. I mean, Ingrid and I went through pregnancies together. We did so much together as families. Yeah.
That's really nice. Mm. She made me laugh when she came into Suddenly Single, talking about how she became like an MI5 investigator, putting trackers on Chris's car, etc., to find out where he went. Now, after 47 years, I doubt the lovely Mike you're together for life, I would imagine. But could you ever imagine yourself doing something like that?
No, not really. I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can comment on something unless you've been in that situation.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I mean, I
That's
don't
very
know
fair.
if I think, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know how you'd handle it.
No.
Sally, can I just say something else? Because when Tiswas was famous, it was the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Back then, we only had 3 TV channels. So do you know how many people watched Tiswas?
I don't know the actual numbers. I can't remember that. But what was the most interesting part of that is the fact that because there are only 3 channels, people watch things at the same time together.
Yes.
You know, you didn't like now record it or have it whenever you wanted on, Sky Plus or wherever you got it from. You watched it all as a family. So you had what you'd call the water cooler moments. You know, people would, like when we had, because of the bucket of water song, everyone would have been watching on that Saturday morning. They'd either been watching us or Noel Edmonds on the other side.
Yes.
And so they would then be discussing
That was Swap Shop, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think you had a lot of choice then. You either had us going mental on one side or Noel being terribly serious on the other, swapping a Barbie doll for a
Would
Lego.
you like a pair of roller skates? Call in.
Yes.
And we'll give you a
So
recorder.
It was, and I think we used to say things like, like you're either a Swap Shop kid or a Tiswas kid.
Yeah.
And many children were not allowed to watch us.
Oh,
really?
really?
Oh, many children.
I had very bad parenting then because I was clearly allowed to watch
Oh, well,
it.
you see, this is...
But then I was older, so...
Yeah. So those days were very different, that people consumed their television all together.
Yeah.
So then they talked about it all together. So then it got more and more popular. And then everything you did became, talked about, that kind of thing. We did
Did you sell a lot of waistcoats? You did rock a waistcoat back in your day, didn't you?
I did wear a waistcoat. I used to say that it was so hot in the studio, I just wanted to be something comfortable that I could change quickly because we used to get wet and, covered in water and gunge and stuff all the time. That was my kind of trademark thing.
Today you'd have a QVC range of Sally James waistcoats,
Do you
wouldn't
know
you?
what a great idea. That's exactly, you would. It was very, very different then. I mean, people don't consume their TV like that anymore, do they?
No.
It's all on their phones in 15 seconds here. I see that huge difference between, me being on Saturday morning television back then and my son being on it now, how different life is, TV is. You don't have those moments when people talk about it. If I was to mention a programme to you, you could say, I might catch up and watch that next week.
Yes, exactly.
It wouldn't be, I have to see that at 7:00 tonight.
No, no. Not even when it's really popular shows. Even the soaps you can watch all day Saturday.
Exactly. So I'm not sure it's changed for the better.
No, but you are iconic because the people back then, there were a lot less of. So you were obviously much more famous than people are now. And
we got asked to do things. We got asked to do the very first children's variety show. I can't remember who it was in front. Oh, it was in front of Princess Margaret, that's right. And we had this whole script written that we thought was very funny. And it was basically Chris and I on stage with Mayhem going on behind us. And so we were doing all this stuff. And there was a lot of references in it. We did our rehearsal and there was a lot of references in it to the royal family. Okay. Nice ones, but they were mentioned. And we did it. And we did the rehearsal, and whoever was running it came up to us and said, stone silence at the end of it. Not one laugh, not anything. That's a bit strange. Anyway, so the director came up and said, did no one tell you that you mustn't mention the royal family? I went, no.
How things have changed.
There had to be a massive rewrite. So the next day, the front page of all the papers was like, Tiswas banned by royal, by the royal family. It was like, oh my God, So everything we did attracted so much attention.
Yeah. Did you meet Princess Margaret?
We did. I have a very nice picture of me sort of curtsying to her.
See, I'm quite a royalist.
Me too.
Family.
Yes.
Also on Tiswas, there was the very famous memory for me was the St. Winnifred's choir.
Oh, yes.
And the buckets of water, which you were very well known for on Tiswas. For anyone who doesn't know, they used to throw buckets of water over a lot of people. And one of those people, the singers of Grandma.
Yes, it was the St. Winnifred school choir. Sally and Lindsay, of course, was one of those. And I mean, they had this song out called Grandma, and we had them on as guests. And I honestly think that they thought that they were coming on this nice TV show to talk about, to sing their song, and they all had really, really pretty little party dresses on, and they started singing, and they were all about 8 or 9 at that time. And then Chris just picked up this bucket of water, and he just hurled it at them, and he didn't stop at one, and he really can hurl a bucket of water, and they were falling over, they're crying, and
good TV though.
I mean, great TV, but can you imagine even contemplating doing that now?
No, you wouldn't get away with it.
Well, no, you wouldn't. You'd put it down. You do your risk assessment.
Yeah.
I don't think it would get very far.
No, it wouldn't get very far. I mean, there are so many iconic moments for you that we could be here all day. But tell us about the one where you had to lock yourself in the toilet over the Bay City Rollers.
Oh, that was back in Saturday Scene.
Yeah.
Where they were coming on live. This was after we'd had the whole David Cassidy thing, and we'd got all the smuggling him in and out done. But now we were having the Bay City Rollers, who were huge at the time. I mean, massive, massive, massive. And the whole studio got besieged by teenage girls from Scotland. I mean, 14-year-old, very scary Scottish girls were literally everywhere you looked. And I sort of got into the building, and it was a case of having to sort of lock yourself away and wait for security to come and get you where you needed to go. And I did the interview with them, and Saturday Scene was a very small budget, so we were all sort of sitting close together. We didn't have as many cameras as you've got here, for instance. And I was sitting next to Les McKeown, and I turned round and to speak to him, and I touched him on the arm. And when I came out of the building later that day, these about 4 girls came up to me, and one of them threatened to punch me. She said, "We saw you touching Les McKeown, trying to get off with him." And it was like, you're scary, scary.
Before that, though, you were an actress, weren't you? Before you were, and you were in some pretty big films. I know it wasn't a large role, but you were in To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier, weren't you?
That was my first job, actually. My dad was a stills photographer in the film business. He took that iconic photo of Ursula Andress coming out of the sea in the bikini.
I loved
in
that
Dr.
photo.
No, yes, yeah. And anyway, so he was going to be working on this film called To Sir with Love.
Yeah.
With James Clavell as the director. And they wanted a classroom full of kids, 15, 16-year-olds. And I was at stage school. I was at Arts Ed in London, and he knew that I actually wanted to dance, but I was never really tall enough. But he knew I was at a stage school, and I wanted to get into the business. And he took me to meet the director, and he said, yes, I would have one of these parts. It wasn't a speaking part even, so I left school early. I didn't take my GCSE. I had to leave the term we were taking GCSEs, but I was determined to still take them. And I did go back and take them and got good grades. So I did that bit of it. But the whole experience was fantastic because Sidney Poitier was divine, as you can imagine.
I can.
And it was great with Lulu, Judy Geese and Christian Roberts,
Yes,
who's
Lulu
sadly no
was
longer
in it,
with us. And it was a great learning curve, because you were on a film set every day for weeks on end, and you were just watching and learning. And then the film didn't come out for at least a year. No one ever thought it was going to be the huge success that it was. It didn't come out for a year. So in that time, I sort of got myself an agent, and I could go for interviews and say I'd been in a film. They didn't have to know that, I didn't actually do a fat lot. And that kind of got me into other things.
Well, you did Dixon of Dock Green, which used to be a huge
only a
show
couple of
at the
episodes.
time.
Yeah.
Well, of all the what do you prefer, presenting or did you like acting?
I liked acting, and I was in a long-running soap opera called Castlehaven, whereby I played a school teacher. It was started the same time as Emmerdale.
Okay.
Up in Yorkshire Television. And they started the 2 soaps at the same time, Castlehaven and Emmerdale. And then after a year, it was decided they were going to run with Emmerdale and not Castlehaven. Okay. And I'm really glad that happened because you could see how easy it would be to be stuck in a soap, really good money, regular, all that. You could see how people are there for 20 years and suddenly it's gone like that.
They're there
more,
for
aren't they?
life,
They're there for life.
They? Yeah.
So I enjoyed acting, but then my agent phoned me one day and said, London Weekend Television are looking for a denim-clad young girl. This was the description.
Right.
Because what they think they want to do is revitalise Saturday mornings. You used to have things like Junior Police 5, Space 1999, various programs like that. And then in the middle, they were going to do little links of, reading up birthday cards or things like that. And then it evolved into interviews. So they wanted somebody to do that. So I went for many auditions and had to do links to camera and time myself, 20 seconds here, a minute there, that sort of thing. And then eventually I got sort of picked, and they said the controller of programs has looked at it, thinks you're absolutely right for this. He's got one major criticism. Oh, what is that? And he said he doesn't like the colour of your nail varnish. I used to wear really dark red, dark sort of almost black,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, which I do sometimes wear in the winter now. And anyway, so I got this job as this denim-clad young girl, and it was really done on a shoestring. We had one camera. It was in the presenter's studio. In those days, you used to have like link announcers. I don't know whether you even remember that. So you'd have somebody would pop up and say, hello, that was whatever it was. And now in 5, we're going to watch this and talk about. They don't really have that now.
No.
And so we decided to sort of build this up. And that's where it started off with interviewing people who would come in. And I'd read out birthday messages. And this you will not believe. I would read a birthday message out, read the person's name and their whole address.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, GDPR would not allow that these days, would it?
But I mean, that's the sort of thing that used to happen.
Yeah.
Very different. But and then that grew. And that grew that it would be like half an hour all over the whole morning. And that grew quite well. And then we even did sort of Saturday Scene road shows because we had access to such good people because of our location, really.
So if I just rewind to relationships.
Yes.
Before the lovely Mike, you were married briefly, weren't you?
Very briefly, yes.
How brief is very briefly?
10 months.
Oh, okay.
Did you not call that brief?
Oh, no, I do call it brief. Mine was 1.5 years. So,
that's brief
that's
too.
Briefer than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we separated. So what went wrong there? Were you too young?
Yeah,
How
too
old
young.
were you?
Really shouldn't have got married.
Okay.
Yeah, we got engaged after being together a while, and we were arguing an awful lot. And then I don't know. We somehow thought. I think we thought, well, if we got married, maybe things would get better. Which of course they didn't.
Was he someone that you'd known from a very young age?
No, not really.
No.
So it just
someone you fancied and
we met
quickly, impulsively.
I met all
married.
my husbands in the London Weekend Bar, basically.
Oh, did you?
So
I remember that bar.
do you know what? In those days,
That was a nice bar.
it was a nice bar, and people used to go and socialise in television.
Yes.
You do your
Well,
shows.
people just used to socialise in general.
Well,
You
that's
don't,
right.
do
Now,
you?
nobody does anything.
No.
Especially, I mean, in TV, you just turn up, do it, and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you argue and get on each other's nerves, you and Mike?
Oh, yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you think it's healthy? Do you think that's part of the secret to keeping
I don't know.
things?
I think I don't know what this. I mean, we've
Yeah.
just sort of stayed together, weathered the storm, got on with it. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a good team, as I've said before. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy doing things. We enjoy going. We like going away.
Oh yes.
Yes.
A good holiday.
A good holiday.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I have a new partner now, partner number 327.
Yes.
I've only been with him for 6 months, but he said to me, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I've never done that, and that is a really wise piece of advice. I'm quite an arguer, and I'm very vocal about what I think. And he said to me, you know what, Siobhan? A still tongue is a wise tongue.
Yes.
So now I try to really bite my tongue.
Yes. And yes.
And I think that might be a good piece of advice, actually, because by the following day, I'm usually over it, and you can't take it back once you've said
That's
it.
a good point.
So
Yes.
yeah, but I
Yes.
think there are other. I mean, I did have a 17-year relationship. I'm not completely hopeless at it, and that was very volatile. And I quite liked a good row at the time, I must say.
Well, also, I wonder when you asked me that about. I think when you've been together so long, you probably don't have any filters like that of thinking, oh, a still tongue is a good tongue. Maybe you're still in the early stages where you're kind of,
Yeah, just still pussyfooting around.
I mean, I would never think, oh, I better not say that, or I won't say
Yeah.
that. I think you've got to know each other so well, and you just know each other's quirks and annoyances.
Going back to your career, why did Tiswas end? Because it was so popular.
Tiswas ended because Chris had this bee in his bonnet about doing a show for adults. 56% of our audience were over 18.
Okay.
So he wanted to do a show for adults.
Okay.
And I don't think it worked. I don't think it was a great idea. And I said this to him at the time, so I'm not saying anything out of turn here. But he was fixated by this. And so he obviously talked into Central Television into agreeing to it. And it was called OTT.
Okay.
Which went out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're expecting these adults to be watching. And Central Television said they wanted me to stay and do Tiswas on a Saturday morning. And he could do his thing on a Saturday night. I think what happened was that neither of them worked well.
Right, yeah, because you were a great team.
Yeah, when people say, what's the secret of Tiswas, I say the team. We were just gelled. We had the best time. We knew each other so well.
Yeah.
We helped each other, whatever was going on. You know, I kept it together in the studio. The boys were mad. It just was a great team. We're a very small team. You know, I was the music associate, so I did all the music stuff. Chris was the producer at that point. John did a lot of the writing. Bob, of course, with Spit the Dog and everything. You know, we just all gelled. And that was the success of Tiswas.
You actually had a song of your own out, didn't you?
Did I? What was that?
Didn't you go on top of the pops with the bucket?
Oh, the song. When you said your own, I thought you meant me. Oh no, we are a hit group. I'll have you know, the Four Bucketeers, right up there. I mean, everything in Tiswas happened by accident.
Yeah.
John came in one Friday and he said, "I've written this little song. It's a march, really, and it's going to be called the Bucket of Water song. I just thought we might close the show with it tomorrow." So, but what we'll do, because there's buckets of water involved and, you know, not necessarily a great idea to throw them in the studio, although, of course, we did. We had this thing where we could poke the camera through the window to, like, this courtyard underneath the studio, and we'll do this Bucket of Water song, marching around, and the end credits, and that'll be that. Well, we did that. Then over the weekend, the duty officer got so many calls. Wow, where can I buy that song? It's brilliant. And all this went on. Anyway, so then it was, we better make a record then. This is what I mean. Things just happened.
Yeah.
And so we made a record and it shot up the charts. Well, it went up.
It did.
It did.
Yeah.
It got to number 28. But
it got on top of the pops.
I mean,
that's because it got back then.
It got on top of the pops. They wouldn't let us throw water. We had to throw glitter. But yes, it became a hit. So then we made an album. We made a whole album of music, you could call it. I can't sing. Chris is even worse than me singing. And on that album,
that was the joy of it.
Terrible things. But anyway, we did it, and we've got a really good picture of the four of us on the front of it. And I've got this framed in my hallway. And my little granddaughter Lily the other day, she said, Granny, why are you throwing a bucket of water? Mm-hmm. So I said, well, that's how I used to earn my living, Lily. She obviously thought this was completely bonkers. So then this ended up into this big explanation. And then they ended up, my two granddaughters were together, her and her sister Kira, and they were watching, played it to them. And she loved it. And then she goes, I want it on the TV. Now they're learning it. Now they're learning the march.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah.
Bless her. And you hosted a show with David Soul, didn't you?
I did do the show with David Soul, called 6:55, which was it was on night every night at 6:55, and it was him and the BBC there had decided they wanted a presenter who hadn't, that would be interesting, not necessarily just a run of the mill normal presenter.
Yeah.
So David Soul had been on as a guest on a programme, and he was very deep and meaningful, David. Very deep and Californian, and everything had a reason.
Okay.
And he had said he hated chat shows and thought they were all rubbish. But then he was asked, would he consider maybe doing a chat show? And he thought, I shouldn't criticise something if I've never actually done it. So I will accept this. Mm-hmm. So he became my co-presenter. And we did become very good friends. And, I adored him. But working with him was horrendous because he would say, I don't feel I can ask questions. It's an infringement of that person's privacy. And I said, "But if you're doing an interview, that is a bit of an issue."
So how was he envisaging this working then, interviewing
I don't
people
know.
without asking any questions?
I don't know. It didn't really work that well. But we have the BBC had never had publicity like it.
I can imagine, because he was a sex symbol back in the day, wasn't he?
Yes, and he was absolutely gorgeous and he was lovely, but it was also coincided with all that time where he was getting all that awful publicity with his wife, and it was terrible. He came out and actually hid at our house.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, and stayed overnight, and we took him down to the local pub, and it was like...
Was this when they were saying that he was violent?
Yeah.
You don't believe that?
I don't know. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Who knows what goes on behind closed walls? I don't know. I got on well with him.
Yeah. So what made you step away from the telly? I mean, I know you still do.
I didn't really choose to step away from the television at all. I had after Tiswas, a few things happened. Then I started my intensive breeding program and had all my children. Yeah. And it seemed to be that every time I was pregnant, I was offered something, or so I'd either be pregnant or just had a baby, and it just didn't sort of happen again. And then there was that big phase where a big vogue of having TV presenters who hadn't really done it before, footballers' wives, just people for their kind of publicity value. And it never really sort of
came back.
Yes, I do still get asked to do things. I still talk about Tiswas a lot. I mean, and Chris will tell you, and this is bizarre when you think about, the amazing success he's gone on to have with so many other things. Yeah. Obviously Millionaire and all his railway stuff, his books, everything. The thing that people always ask him is about Tiswas.
Well, because I think it was iconic back in the 70s and 80s. It really was. You wrote your own book, didn't you?
Well, I suppose I did in a way. I did a book of almost legendary interviews.
Yes. Which,
it's so long ago that...
Why do you call them almost legendary?
Well, I didn't call them that. That was a title that Chris used to I used to do the interviews I used to do the interviews on Tiswas of all the pop interviews. Chris then said he always liked to jazz things up, so he would have this thing. Let's call them Sally James's almost legendary interviews, and that's what they were called. I didn't call them that. They were only ever 3 minutes long. Everything on Tiswas was it mustn't be longer than 3 minutes in case people get bored. I think
now, isn't it? You never have
now everyone watches everything on their phone, and it's like that they're bored after 20 seconds. At least people could concentrate for 3 minutes back then.
We do keep our phone clips to less than a minute.
Oh, do you?
We do, for that exact reason.
Oh, okay. Well, you see, so we were stretching it at 3 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were ahead of your time back then.
Yeah, we were. But, you can't really get a lot out of someone in 3 minutes. It was very much, very quick stuff. So that's why it was called that. And that's why my book was called that.
So after your intensive breeding program, which I absolutely love, I'm going to tell my daughter she needs to get on an intensive breeding program while I still can pick the babies up.
Yes, exactly.
You opened a very successful school uniform shop.
I did.
So were people surprised when they walked in and it was you behind the counter?
Yes. Do you know what? This it's very strange when you've seen someone on television and you feel you know them. Yeah. Because you the times that people just come and go, "No, I know you, don't I? No, don't tell me. I do know you. Now, do you play tennis? Do I?" And they go on, and they think they've met you somewhere, and they don't really think that. And I wouldn't say things like, "Well, actually, yes, you do know me because I used to be on your TV screens." I wouldn't.
Did you never say that?
No, I might. It depends on who the person was, what the conversation was going like. Yeah. I did tell some people, or people get to know things very quickly.
I guess, yeah. Well, I'm going to do something else now, Sally. I've got a box. It's called the Suddenly Single Honesty Box.
Oh, wow.
Now, don't leave you hanging.
Intense. What is it?
It's not. It's just a few questions.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I'm coming up.
What is your best bit of advice to make a relationship work? Because I need some.
I think there's got to be some give and take.
Okay.
I think you've got to, be kind to each other.
Okay.
And look out for each other and be a good team. And I guess at the beginning of a relationship, it's different. But as you go through life and you've got children and different things happen, I think it's how you approach things and that you both agree with how you're going to approach something.
Okay.
I think that's important, to listen to each other.
Okay. Animals or children, what do you prefer?
Oh, children.
Really?
Yes.
They're better than your baby Bruno, because we know you've got a 5-year-old lab, or I do anyway.
Well, yes, and he is fantastic, but he could my kids and now my grandchildren are my world.
Oh, that's such a lovely thing to say. Sally James, thank you very much for coming on Suddenly Single. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.